Here we go. The mahogany's been all planed down and ready for me to start laying out the designs. It's going to take a little bit of time, but this is going to be a real beauty when she's done. 8/4 and 4/4 mahogany. Well, we have the trail board basic shape started. Cut out the basic outside and took the bottom part and put it on the top to keep the wood the same. It's good to keep the same type of wood when you're carving a piece, to keep the same moisture and the same grain texture together. So I cut the bottom part out and put the top part. Now I'm going to finish off drawing out the design or the trail board, and then cut that out and then get started, so to speak, on laying out the bottom ends of it to fit the transom, which will be very interesting to follow. Here we are, all cut out and ready to go. The stern board, the two trail boards, and the quarter board that goes underneath the stern board. So it should be a fun journey as we continue. The stern board has been cut out. The front side and also the back two plates that will help me adjust to the back slope of the transom. The piece that you see across the front that has a nice slope to it is actual pattern that my patron made, so the piece will fit exactly on the back side of his boat. In other words, this is going to be a custom-made fit that will help me work with it to give him exactly what he needs to have done. The stern board has been all glued together, and you see multi-layers stacked on top of each other. That's part of the process. You'll see a lot of area that's going to be removed. Above the dark line will be all the material that will be removed, and below the bottom of the line will be part of the stern board. And the curvature that you see is the curvature of the transom or the back side of the boat. It's just a process of having to have more material than what you're going to need, because once you start cutting it down, or so to speak, eliminating it, then you'll have the area that will be left alone or left behind that will fit the transom. So, in other words, she's ready to go, and I'll be starting the next process very soon. Starting on the back or the rear of the carving first. I need to have a flat and stable surface to keep all the carving straight and true throughout the reduction of the back side. The entire rear of the stern board must be consistent without any high or low areas, so it will lie smoothly to the transom. I'm starting from the top and working my way down from there. That will be the lowest point on the carving, but the highest point on the transom. That will be the high point on the transom, so to speak. I will be leaving some wood so as to have some wiggle room as I near the completion of the carving. The top or the ends of the banner will remain thicker at the same time. This will allow me to have a thicker or more stable area when I flip the carving over and I start working on the front side. More reduction on the back side. As you can see, I'm using, what I'm using is basically called a Lancelot tool. It has basically a chainsaw blade on the end of it. It's a very small chainsaw blade. It removes a lot of area very rapidly. And it's one of the few technology tools that I use on my pieces. It just helps me get the piece shaped up faster and I'm not spending so much time on the carving aspect. But you can see it's starting to take shape and coming down to into the actual other piece. Here she is, all roughed out and ready for the next stage of the process. As you will see, she still has her demarcation line, or the lines for the transom, still on her. A little bit of glue on the ends, but that will be smoothed out. And then you can see there's a curvature that will fit onto the transom, and the end parts that I was talking about before, and you can see how they're still being retained. But basically, she's taking shape and form, and she's going to fit onto the transom very nicely. Starting on her quarter board, or home port name board, that will go on to the stern of the boat. As you will see, again, the same process as before, the markings for the actual transom markings, and using the tool to take her down from the square all the way down to roughing out the whole back side. The little bit that I'm adding this time will be the aspect of me showing you how I'm finishing it off with the high-speed sander. The process from when I started this to now is I started in October, and it's now December working on the pieces. So it takes a little bit of time to get these pieces cut roughed out and put together and smoothed out. So here's the process for this one. Starting on the trail board, they will go up to on the front bow of the boat, and they will be hand carved out of mahogany, as you can see the design. And it's a roughing out process now, but basically the Jenny Bee is starting to take shape as far as the trail boards go. More to come as I progress on here, but right now this is just the initial process. As we proceed with the carving of the trail boards, you can see how the detail or the forms are starting to take shape. Trying to work on them both at the same time so I keep a balance in both of them. Even though you won't be able to see one side versus the other side, I think it's important that the same characteristics stay the same on both sides. As you can see, that is coming along nicely, and I'll be proceeding at a slower than normal pace at the beginning. And you can see on the back side here, this is the quarter board, or the name port board, that will be going underneath of the trail board on the back of the boat. Other than that, we're progressing pretty nicely here, so until next time, bye. Progress report. Continuing on with the carving, as you can see, as I get closer, you can see how the form is now starting to take shape on the carvings. What's happening here is that both sides will be flipped up, where the star will be pointed up. So basically, this is the way the star is going to look here. It'll be pointed up when it's on the front of the boat, and the star here will be like this and pointed up. But you can see the difference between the two, even though it's backwards on one. The stern board, as you can see, she's all set up and ready for me to start taking down some masts. It's going to be a little bit tricky here, but I'm going to work from one side back to the other side, and then start from the middle out again. More to come. The process is basically the same. What I'm doing now is just starting the slow and time-consuming process of getting the shape down, getting it down to where I can make it look like it's a flying banner on each end, going back to each side, balancing it out, taking my time, going back and forth. I'll do so much on one side and go back to the other side, back and forth until I get it to where I can really think it has to starting to get some shape. I'll go over some of the parts that I hit or touch some of the parts that I think that I'm not going to have to be worried about, but basically it's just the shaping and forming part of this. The banner ends are coming together now, or taking shape, I should really say. And as you're going to be seeing, there's going to be a flip and a dip on both ends. And right now it's just basically just roughing out and taking down a lot of area. The face is not going to have that much done to it. It's just going to be curved down. Once I get the ends done, then I'm going to flip down or reduce the ends down so it has more of a dramatic curve to the top of it. But overall, she's going to have a nice overall appearance of a banner flying in the wind. There we go. It's all basically shaped out right now. Now I'm going to take it inside and continue on with the detail. I'll add a little more fanciness to the piece as she progresses, especially on the ends of the banners. I'm going to do something special for those and see how she comes out at the end. And the journey continues. As you will see, we are now indoors versus being outdoors. I'm in the process of setting everything up so I can start the carving on the front side of the stern board. I'm also making sure that everything is flat and level, and I'm not going to be carving at an angle. If I carve at an angle, I'm going to have it thicker on the top and thinner on the bottom, or vice versa. So as you will see, zip it in and you can see everything is nice and level. So I'm in the process now going on to the next stage, and I shall continue on. As you will see, the stern board is starting to come alive. I'm adding the flares to the ends, I'm adding the thickness, and I'm starting to round off the edge so it follows the contour of the back of the boat. And you can see how that's going to appear there, and how this is going to appear on this side. It's going to be a process of just a little bit at a time until I finally get it right. as you can see, or maybe you can't see, but I can see, I'm starting to add the needed swirl as the banner comes down, flips around, comes down, goes around. There's like a dip inside of a dip. So I'm doing it on that side, and as you can see, this side is a lot flatter with less of a dip on the end, but basically at the end you're going to see a much more dramatic flare and a flip as the banner flips around and comes down and flies out the back side. So you have the optical illusion of it being bent over and flying out. The sternboard sign all sanded down. As you can see, the line is all set up and in pretty good shape. This is about 3 hours worth of sanding and sanding. So it's time consuming but well worth the process time to get it done. Here's our front side. It's pretty well smoothed out. It's still working on the overall detailing to the front. A lot more on the front, of course, than the back. But as you can see, the curve and the details are really starting to come together. The banner is going to have that nice flare to them and a nice presentation overall. And here's the top side now. I just got done sanding the top side and the edges here, and you can see how the edges of all the marks are gone. And as I go around the back side here, you can see how that looks. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm trying to do the best I can here in the sunlight. Give you an idea of what I'm looking at here. Look at that. It's really coming along nicely. The front side with all of the markings all taken off, and you're getting an idea of how well it's going to be looking now. And I'm going to go down here. You can see the detail there, and the back side here. Try to walk around here, and you can see how well this is going to. Priming the sternboard. As you can see, I've already started, but I wanted to give you an idea of what she looked like before I put the first coat of primer on and give her a good silver. It's a primer. It's oil-based paint, linseed oil, and turpentine. So it really penetrates into the mahogany and will really give it a good silver before I go on to the next stage. All primed and ready for the next stage. It'll take a day or so really to dry in. I give it a good day or so to dry up. But as you can see, it's all ready, and I'm going to work on these in a little bit. Finish sanding them down, edge it, and prime them. I wanted to share or show you the progress on the Jenny B trail boards. I'm in the process of carving these in, and you can see how I lay out my inside lines and I work inside out to get my letters carved. It's a more time-consuming process, but it really comes to life after a while. But my inside markings, as you can see there, then I work inside out. Carving the Jenny B sternboard. Working on the letters inside out, as always, and you can see the nice flow to them. And you'll see a nice little butterfly that will be relief carved and attached after I have the carving all done. At the ends, I'll be placing stars in a little bit and then gold leafing the edges and the script to go along with the other boards, the trail boards and the name board. Jenny B, all carved and ready for me to start putting the first coat of primer on her. Letters are all carved, nice and deep. It can be beautiful when it's gold leafed. And stars on this side. A little bit different. Had to bend the star over top of the curve so it has a natural flow to it. It's going to be a little bit different presentation, but I think it's going to be different. Nice. So, The journey's coming to an end. Nicely. On the home port, on the trail board, and on the Jenny B stern board. All three have been carved. 2 coats of blue and now the first coat of red. And then the next step will be gold leafing. And you can see the Newport, Rhode Island at the end. Coming along nicely. All three of them. Finished up cleaning up all the little flaws or details that I like to have cleaned up before I start putting my final coats on. As you can see, all the letters have been gone over, cleaned up, and added some more extra detail to everything. The only thing that's missing right now on it is my little butterfly, which I'll be starting soon. You can see how these are all coming along. And the same thing back here with the other Jenny B. This is the trail board here. It's a trail board like this. Gold leafing the home port carving. As you can see, oops, there we go. I'm laying in the gold leaf into the lettering and it blends right in. Feels right into all the cracks. I should say not the cracks, but the carved areas. And you wind up having a very beautiful letter coming to life in front of your eyes. And then I move some of the gold over to the next one and start taking care of that one. But this is the process. More to come. Gold leafing the trail board. And as you can see, there's a star, there's the carving. It'll go on the one side, and as we proceed down, coming down to the end, finishing up the B on the Jenny B. Again, you can see how it smooths right in. The next one I'll be doing will be the stern board, which is going to be a lot bigger, but this one here is just about done. A few hiccups. I don't know if you can see it, but you'll get a few spots no matter how well you think you cover. They're called Hollywoods. They shine through where the gold didn't take. I thought I had put it down, but you can basically get an idea what I'm talking about. So, until the next time, bye. Board. As you can see, she's been gold leafed, but I'm working on the trim, and you can see how that's going to be going on. But basically, doing the entire trim of the whole stern board, and excuse that. And then I'm doing the trim with my little handy little box underneath. This box I used, or I've been using since I did the USAJ Eagle for the Coast Guard. It collects all my gold as I'm working above it, so I have gold flying all over the place. You can see again how it's blending in. And I'll be doing this to the entire trim of the whole side. I'll do the top later on. I'll be finishing up this. You can see how she looks. Coming together. As you will see here, there's the home port. There's one Jenny B, and there's another Jenny B. And they're all done. Just a little bit of cleaning up the gold leaf. And they'll be ready for me to ship on down to sunny Florida. Boy, those letters came out great. Look at that, huh? Nice and shiny and bright. Boy, that takes care of those. We go with the Jenny B. all carved, gold leafed, and you can see the little butterfly that's going to be attached to her when she's done. When the carving's done, the flare and the stars, the banner, the curve, and fit perfectly onto the back of the transom. As you can see, the letters really came out nice. I'll be adding the painting in the butterfly and adding that to her next. But butterfly is going to be a little bit thicker than normal. It's mostly a visual effect. If I made it too thin, it would break off in the seas. So the ocean would just take it and break it to bits. So it's going to be a little bit thicker, but she's going to be beautiful when she's done. Well, here we go. She is all done. And as you're going to be able to see, our little butterfly is also on here, all the way down to the end. Zoom into the butterfly. I think she came out nicely. And the ends, the curves. There's the Newport for an item board, name board. And then finally the two shell boards. And we'll go up to the phone number. Let's see here. More detail, more closeness. Boy, that gold really the gold that I got from Seps really comes out great. Great company to work with, great products. A little bit of talcum powder to take off, but really it's done.